About to play it.
He's going to do it.
He does it.
Commentators freaking as a stunner of a move is unleashed in this round 3 Norway Chess Armageddon game, because yes, no way ye made a draw against the world number 1 McNuggets Carlsberger, so they go to this one. Magnus opens up with pawn d4, knight f6, and because it's the Armageddon format, Magnus has to win with the white pieces. They're over the board, live chess, and Wei Yi just needs to draw to take this extra half point. Let's dive in on this cracker. Magnus now plays the London system, and I'm so glad he does. You're about to see why, because we get this slightly unusual second move. Now knight c3 and it instigates the Jabava London. An opening I'm literally studying right now. d5 played. Why is it so topical? Well, Magnus just smashed Gukesh with it the other day. I mean, smashed is harsh, but ground him down. What a game it was. But this shows how aggressive the opening can get. Pawn h4, and already it's so tricky and trappy, because if black castles here, then look at this for a crushing line. This is what Lotus Chess has shown me, the app I'm literally using to study these openings. An incredible spaced repetition opening trainer, right? It shows you how to blow the opponent's king off the board if they go wrong, and that is what's so good about this opening trainer, right? It doesn't just show you top engine lines, it shows you the moves that are going to trick your opponent, trap them, even if it's slightly suboptimal, but your opponent's likely to fall into a bad position. It's absolutely incredible. You can download it free, try it out, and not only do you get the crushing lines, but it connects with Lead Chess, chess.com, brings in your games. Now that's really important, helps us know that we all suck at chess deep down, but then it helps you patch up your openings. Don't worry, it's truly incredible. Developed by these guys, German brothers Max and Raphael, real chess enthusiasts. They love the game almost as much as they love a beige background, and look, it's made in Germany, so you know it works. Give it a go down in the description, thank me later. Let's dive back on this game here, because Wei Yi knows his stuff, right? Probably used his Lotus Chess and shuts down that pawn advance. Knight f3 therefore played, castles, and now this is key, knight e5. You actually moved the same piece twice in the opening. Unusual, but I've practiced this theme a lot now because you're making way for the f-pawn. c5 was played to fight for the centre, and queen d2. I mean, how aggressive is this setup? Give it a go. Knight c6 is a main move, or takes on d4, but Wei Yi plays the excellent bishop to f5 here, sliding down this aggressive diagonal. Magnus goes f3, and it hints at g4 things later. Takes control of e4 of course as well. So takes was played here, pawn recaptures, and a seahorse is spawned, pressuring Magnus's one. He now plays bishop b5, and it sets up a really nice positional trap. Because if you go rook c8, definitely playable, don't get me wrong, but then you can play this. You actually give up the bishop pair, but you rotate this guy round to the c5 square, and you get an excellent dark squared grip. I mean, look at this. It's the kind of game where your opponent just groans in misery after, like, 12 moves or something. So we didn't see that. Instead, takes here was played. Pawn takes to kick the knight. Hang on, are you not just blundering your entire centre? Well, there's pressure on the e-pawn. Now there's a nice line where you actually castle queenside, give the pawn, but then just tuck the queen in here. And because the knight's about to drop, attacked twice like this, it say has to retreat here. Then you take in the center. It's roughly level, but white has ever such a slight initiative here. Nice position. So let's run back. Magnus didn't go for the immediate castles. He instead played an unusual move for him. Bishop takes on d7. Giving up his bishops, imbalancing the position, but he doesn't follow up with queen takes on d5. perhaps speaking to the fact that he has to win the game. So he instead goes for the 0-0-0, and it's not even Christmas, perhaps hoping for e6, trying to hold on to that pawn there, but then it gives really nice counterplay ideas with pawn g4. Think takes and then even h5, that sort of thing. Bishop's a bit entombed, so we didn't see e6. Wei Yi plays the excellent rook a to c8, looking to attack the king. You know, look how these ones are converging here, and after queen takes on d5, turns out it opens up the stage here for Wei Yi to take a bow and play an absolute stunner. This is the position he finds a great move. Can you find it here? So the move to play, well done if you saw it. It's rook takes on c3.
About to play it.
He's going to do it.
He does it.
Excellent, and shades of the Sicilian, right? When black's playing like that and sacking a rook for a knight to rip open the king. If you take, not played, we go to the back cave here. We'll look at the plummet of Ival Barovic because the queen slides in, and not only do you threaten checkmate in one, but you hit a loose bishop, right? Loose pieces drop off, as they say. This is the best defense of the checkmate, and then you don't even take, because you can't. It's also covering the bishop. You can check, king goes, and there's this beautiful slow motion attack. You know, here comes the rook. What happens if you try and trade queens? Just going to show you the top line here. Say white really harasses the queen, but then the center drops. Here we go, and you can't do anything about it. If you step here, you actually get mated in just a moment. So you have to go here, then there's takes, discovered check, air's cleared, and black is just destroying it. I don't know, 2 pawns up or something. Amazing lines. So no takes. Magnus instead takes the queen on d7. Best move, but now we see this intermezzo or Zwischenzug. Rook takes on c2 check. Now always play king b1, especially when it's your only move. And how to proceed here? Well, you want to capture the queen, but then you leave the protection of the rook and the king would take it. So instead we see this nice windmill tactic. Rook takes on g2, unleashing the discovered check. Queen takes, therefore it was going to drop anyway, so let's mangle the pawn structure. Wei Yi is a pawn ahead, plus with active rooks here, well, active rook. But Magnus does now get counterplay by hitting the 7th heaven. He goes for both pawns. e6 is actually technically best, but Wei Yi goes immediately for the activation. You know, they're playing on low time here. He wants to kebab Magnus on the 2nd. Magnus picks up the pawn. Rook c4 hits that bishop, and the excellent move by Magnus is played of bishop c1. Back to the starting square. Dad a bit ashamed. What are you doing back here? But it protects the king. It is good chess. b5 now goes for the attack, saying sure, take on a7, then I take your pawn on e5. Magnus doesn't want it, plays a very committal move. Now he could take the pawn on a7. He could play pawn f4 even, try and cemento things. Could become weak, but okay, it's all very double-edged. But instead, he activates the rook at the cost of a pawn here. Look how dangerous Harry the H-pawn is running down the board. They've even got a Harry meter running in the tournament, the take team, who can push their H-pawn the most times. And this is what Magnus is going for. Check. It's counterplay, baby. King h7. And now, how to proceed here? Well, Magnus actually goes terribly wrong. It's not obvious though. What would you play here? So very well done. If your intuition was screaming rook d1, because it's so important to actually cover this first rank. Why? Because after takes here, rook h1, not only clearing the way for the pawn to run, but pressuring the king, x-raying it, pinning the bishop, you're in real trouble. Because how do you actually break that pin? Really far from easy. And if you try and go for the pawn counterplay, well, you just opened up the bishop. This is check and actually mate. Unbelievable. So you can't push the pawn. Rook c7's the best defense, but still then this one's running so fast, very deadly. So Magnus instead tries rook takes on f5, going for some serious counterplay, but It's a massive mistake, as you can see, given the question marks of doom. I mean, rumour has it he's a little tired today. He did sleep upside down on the old jungle gym once again. His room wasn't quite made up. Wanted to get the rush of blood to the head. It can help your play at the board, but today it just wasn't quite working for him, because now King G6 is played. Rook G to G1, also good, but here the rook's getting embarrassed. Where does it go? One square right, the only one available. You couldn't come this way, not without giving an exchange. And now, after Rook G to G1, you're in a world of pain, because if you try and cover, then there's a great tactical finish. Again, do feel free to test your puzzle rush. The move you can play is Rook takes on C1. There were different good moves, but this is the cleanest, because you take again, second time. Looks like you're shedding your advantage, but no. Pin and win, baby. That's all she wrote. It would be game over from there. So Magnus doesn't do this. He goes for some desperado checks. King H7, A4. You know what else to do? This was running into the same tactical problems. Takes with check. King A2. Bishop takes on E5. Ouch, but there is a check. Saves the day. The rook's double here, but now takes on A4, and the whole house is collapsing. Magnus steps up, desperately trying to run with the king. If there's a check, get to B4, but rook C4 shuts in the king. It's got nowhere to go. Rook A1 check and mate is a threat, and if you step back to cover that one, then again there's these slow motion deadly tactics, and the rooks just can't cover. Yes, you can do this, but you can still crash through, still take this stuff off, because that rook was overloaded trying to defend 2 points, and of course this is hopelessly game over. A rook and 2 pawns ahead. Magnus goes down in the Armageddon. Incredible battle. So many good games today, I just couldn't get to them all. I'll do my best tomorrow to get a game up, hopefully Hans Niemann versus Dubov, but I am out all day, so please bear with me. Check out Lotus Chess, link down below. I absolutely love it. I'm sure you will too, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.